what happens to us when we deal with a lot of childhood trauma. It can lead to our feelings of abandonment issues, reactivity, self-destructive behaviors, low self-esteem, anxiety, anger. It changes our view on if the world is safe or not safe. And I think that for Vi and Powder, dealing with this difficulty, one, it made them themselves against the world, and you can see that when Vi grips hold of Powder's hand. She's the one that's going to keep her safe. Children are mostly mimics. That's how they learn, but they're not on record all the time. When there's distress or trauma, our brains go to record mode. So that's because when there's a danger, it's most important for us to learn how should we deal with it. And for Vi, this moment with Vander punching his way to make sure that they're safe has a lasting impression on how she's going to deal with issues and problems in her future. When we first see Vander, he is literally beating up a whole bunch of people. He's looked up towards as this huge hulking figure, and you can see the aggression, the anger, the fury upon his face. But then right away, when he looks upon Vi and Powder, his face becomes crestfallen, and you see him when he sighs, that sigh of regret and guilt. And when you have a plan and in your head you think it's going to end one way, and it actually ends up in the worst case scenario. He came onto the bridge a fighter, and he left the bridge a father. In our head, when we make these choices that ends up impacting a lot of people, we often think of ourselves as individuals, that nothing we do will really matter to anyone else. And then he realizes that it's impacted all of these people and left all of these children as orphans. And that weight, that heaviness, I think that in this scene it shows everything that Vander is, that he carries the weight of his actions and what it has caused to everyone else around him. And he's going to do anything in his power to try to make it right.
Powder, look at me. What did I tell you?
That I'm ready.
That's right.
Vi does a really good job. One is she says, look at me. She wants to get her attention because she can tell that Powder is starting to cycle through feelings of doubt. The other piece is that she doesn't give her what she should think. She asks her, what did I tell you? So that Powder says it herself, so that she can impart the feeling of belief that she can do this. And you can see that breath where she kind of tries to center herself and be able to do something because she wants to make her big sister proud.
Thanks.
Here Powder has done this huge jump. She almost falls off. Vi might have gotten some flack from people because she wasn't more enthusiastic and complimentary, but I actually like that she wasn't. She was saying, I knew that you would. It's not even that big of a deal. I believed in you the entire time. When a child hurts themselves, the first thing that they do is they look up at their parents to say, am I in danger? Should I be scared? And so Vi being calm and in control lets Powder feel that, you know what, I didn't almost die just now, which may have made her not want to jump the next time she needs to.
I ruined everything. I always do. I'm not a fighter.
You don't have to be. I've got these, and you've got those.
They never work.
They will.
We often want to be like the person that we look up to. And I love that Vi is doing her best to let Powder know that her uniqueness is her strength. That's what she brings to the table. And that she believes that even though they've made mistakes and even though they haven't worked yet, that they will. It's what makes the world an interesting place. If we were all the same, how boring everything would be.
That's where Clagger got his foot stuck running from enforcers. Milo tripped over his own paint bucket and nearly fell off trying to draw a giant middle finger. When I was a kid, some guy took my favorite toy and threw it up there.
That's so important. So she's saying that even these people that for Powder are larger than life, they've also made mistakes. And she doesn't just say it, which she could have. She brings her to a location, so she has actual sights and proof that these things have happened, which give so much more weight to Vi's words. It's good to know that they also have made mistakes, and that it's okay that she does. That's how we all learn.
I used to come out here at night, stare at it, hoping maybe the wind or a bird might knock it down. We've all had bad days, but we learn.
Vi is also letting her know that she was also teased and bullied and had something that she couldn't do yet, which was get back her bunny. And when you look up to your big sister, to hear that she also was teased and treated poorly makes her feel like it's okay that it's happened to her as well, because her sister has been able to handle it and she's survived, so she can too.
I made them for the enforcers. These are smoke bombs, and those two are full of nails. They're gonna work this time. I know it.
Me too. You know, Powder, what makes you different makes you strong. Always remember that, okay?
I love that Vi takes that moment to be able to look at the beautiful creatures that Powder's made. Vi knows to reinforce that and to say, you know what? I believe that they're gonna work also. I believe in you. And that beautiful touch to her face that Powder kind of like leans her head into, that warmth and tenderness, it's so important to us. Touch actually releases oxytocin. It makes us feel connected to each other. And isn't that our role as a parent? To help our children believe in themselves. And that's who Vi is to Powder, the one person that matters the most to her.
Stop being such a big baby!
Powder reminds me a lot of those Rhesus monkeys that they took, and they took these monkeys and they gave them a cloth mummy that was warm and cared for, or a metal monkey that was just giving them food, and they clung to this cloth monkey for soothing and comfort, as she does to the toy as she sits there all alone. It is pretty much direct attachment issues, and for Powder, she's anxiously attached. That means that she needs to have her person, and her person is her sister.
Where's the...
Oh, you're back!
And you can see how much she is attached. And out of everyone in the world, she's the one that makes her feel safe, comforted, loved, and needed. And we will do anything for that kind of comfort and feeling of safety, especially when we've dealt with loss early on in our life, when we've lost our parents and then we don't know who to go to. This is now her family, and Vi is her person, and we'll do anything that we can in order to protect, keep safe, and be in the presence of the person that we love. And with those little tiny Rhesus monkeys, they'll cling to the warm cloth mummy, even though it doesn't even bring it food or water, and only go for food or water when necessary, and then cling back to that warmth and care and safety. That is how important it is to our psyche and how we are as developing as people. There's not many scenes of Vander with Powder. You can tell how much he cares. Right away when she comes in, 1, he notices her and gives her the attention. 2, he can tell that she is upset. And when he flings his rag over his shoulder, you can see he's gonna go into parenting mode. He knows what he's gonna do to make her feel better. No doubt he has done this so many other times and it's worked. And the cup has these cute little designs on it. You can tell that this is Powder's cup. And that look, that wait a second, this didn't work. Now he knows there's something even bigger happening, something that his drink and his attention didn't heal for Powder, and that made him worried. And it matters for the development of children to be able to have that parental figure that reads you and understands when things aren't there, but even more so, that you know that they care. Our emotions are tied to those that we care about, and so if they're not okay, we're not okay. And people that are more on the emotional side instead of analytical, that's even more so. That if they're in distress, I'm in distress by proxy. We try to make them feel better, not just because we care about them, but because we care about how we feel.
Do we know where they took him?
I need you to sit this one out, Powder.
What?
You're not coming.
She wants to do what everyone else is doing. She wants to be that contributing member of her family. It's so important to our own self-esteem and personal development to feel like we can contribute something. We can be helpful, especially for Powder being young and always making mistakes and not being as strong or as tough as her big sister that she looks up to, the person that she most wants to be like. And you can see that she gathers her stuff and puts them in a bag, and Powder did the exact same thing. But then to be told that she's not good enough to go with where everyone else is going.
I'm not afraid.
It's too dangerous.
But families stick together, you said it yourself.
I know what I said.
I want to fight. I can help.
You're not ready.
And you can see how much she wants to be able to do it and how painful that was, that crack. Her eyes she became crestfallen when she ended up finding out that she couldn't go. You can feel that Vi's anxiety starts to get the better of her, and she becomes reactive. She says something without thinking, "You're not ready." Unfortunately, that's the exact opposite than what she's been trying to get her to feel comfortable and strong and ready. Sometimes when we're really frustrated or upset or stressed, our brains chemically shut down our working part of our memory, making us more narrow-minded and more reactive. We're not thinking about consequences to our actions. And that's what happens to Vi when she kind of just throws out this comment.
You're all I have left. I can't lose you.
Vi does a really good job, though, of explaining to her why she can't go. When she does that loving act of putting the hand on her cheek and she kind of nuzzles in, it shows that Powder understands that she can't lose anyone else. It doesn't really probably make her feel any better about not being good enough yet to be able to actually contribute to the family, because when you're young, everything that you want to do is you want to be an adult. You want to be able to be strong, especially when you've been young and helpless and abandoned and not good enough. She probably felt like that's why she was abandoned. If she was better and stronger and more useful, maybe she wouldn't have been alone either. She right away recognizes that she said something too harsh and she shouldn't have, and immediately softens.
If they come for you, take this and run. Wherever you are, light it up and I'll find you. I promise.
And that little tiny moment of when they touch heads really shows that bond that they have between them. It's more than even sisterly. It's almost like that parent and child relationship that they have, how much they both matter to each other. Light this up and I will find you. But I don't think that she understands how strong Powder's abandonment issues are, how everyone else has died and left her and she doesn't want to be stuck there alone. That last scene, you can still see Powder left alone in the dark where everyone else is going to go fight and you can't help. And my heart breaks for her and that feeling of not being good enough. Without anything to do, her brain's going to spin. I wish that Vi had given her a job, something to do that she could have kept safe, but she could have felt like she was doing something important to be able to help the team so that she also was a contributing member, that she mattered and she was ready. But the job just might be different. And this scene shows how painful the feeling of being abandoned is, especially when you've had such strong abandonment issues, especially when you've been orphaned and not been good enough. She's having a full-blown panic attack. You can hear the tears, the crying, the anger, the fury, the hurt. And though you don't see it, you can hear all of the voices that are inside of her head of, I'm not good enough. I'm alone. Why did they leave me? I'm angry. And you can tell she's also angry at herself. She's breaking the things that are most precious to her, what she's created, because they weren't good enough, meaning that she wasn't good enough. And if she was better and stronger and more helpful, that maybe they would have taken her along and she wouldn't have been left alone.
I can help them.
And how heartbreaking. That's the only thing that she wanted right away when she figured out that she could actually be useful and help out her family. Right away, the tears went down. She had a solution. She had a way to be able to get out of this problem of being alone and not being able to help her family. And right away, that stopped her panic attack. Because a panic attack, most anxiety is a feeling of a loss of control, of being helpless. And right away, when she realized that she had a whole bunch of power in these little tiny orbs, that she could make a difference and help her family, she felt like she had control again.
You have to work. For me, okay?
And when she touches her head to her little tiny toys, the ones that she ripped apart when she was angry at them, and then she shows the opposite of this love and affection, the same love and affection that her sister had showed her as she touches heads to them, to be able to say that, I need you to work, but it's not just that she needs them to help save her family. It seems also that she needs that for herself, to feel like she can contribute and she's not really a jinx. She can do something and do it right.
It worked! My monkey bomb finally worked!
She wants to tell the one person that she wants affirmation from more than anyone else in this world, her sister, so she runs so proudly to her. It is so important for children's development and their self-esteem to be able to have that.
You did this? Why did you do this?
I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help.
I told you to stay away.
Even though she had the best of intentions, the worst case scenario happened. For her, she's gonna have to live with this guilt.
Please.
I told you to stay away!
No! Why did you leave me?
When we are so upset and for Vi gone through all of this trauma, there's all kinds of adrenaline that is in her system, and she's just dealt with the death of 3 of her family members, we often will say and do things that we wish that we never had said or done. And for her, she's lived with violence. The way that she deals with everything is punching her way out of it, and she strikes her sister. Because when you're really angry and upset, it shuts off your working memory. You're not really thinking, you're just reacting, and you're gonna react the way that is most natural to you.
Why did you leave me?
Because you're a jinx! Do you hear me? Milo was right!
No.
And it's interesting that even though she was struck, the things that hurt Powder are not the striking. Being left alone, that abandonment, that's what hurt her. That she doesn't want to be looked at as she's to be abandoned and not good enough. When Vi looks at the blood on her hands from striking her, that realization that she has lost control and done the thing that she never wanted to do, which is hurt Powder also. And because of that, she walks away from her. And I don't think that that was a horrible thing. She was close by, but she just needed to calm down because she could tell that she was beyond her own control. And usually I would say that's a good parenting choice. Just take a break until you're able to get more control before you do more damage. I think that a lot of people, and I understand why people would come down so hard on Vi during this scene. I think that we also, though, need to recognize that she's a child of trauma and she's still just a young teen. Because of all of this trauma, when she gets really flooded and she's just lost another of her parents and Milo and Clagger. So she's going through an extremely traumatic situation, and then to find out that her sister was the one that caused it, her way of dealing with situations is to fight her way out of it. And so she became overwhelmed and did the wrong thing and said the wrong words because she's just too reactive. But she's still just a child.
Because you're a jinx! Do you hear me? Milo was right!
Words matter. Every time you say something negative and call your child a name or lazy, stupid, a jinx, it imprints on them. They're learning from you who they are. Their formation of identity is directly related to how you see them. That's how they develop a self-perception. It starts out from outside and the people that we look up to the most. And that's why you have to be really careful what you say. And remember, we're recording mostly in times of trauma. So the hard thing is that when you're doing your best, really what you say doesn't matter that much. And when you're at your worst, everyone's recording it and it does matter.
Come back, please, I need you, please.
Powder doesn't see it as Violet's taking a break and she's just around the corner. She's gone. She doesn't see her. She truly believes that she has just been abandoned again, and she can understand why, because she's done this horrible act. And Vi just wanted to take a break. She's realized that she's too flooded, she's too upset, and usually that is the right thing to do. Vi, her attachment type is avoidant. When she's stressed and upset, she becomes quiet and she wants to leave and be alone. She needed to calm down. She needed to take a moment so her anxiety levels will lower so that she's not going to say or do something else that might be the wrong thing. Versus Powder's attachment type, which is anxious. So she talks a lot. She needs someone. She's in a lot of distress when she's alone.
Hello, little girl.
She left me. She is not my sister anymore.
She's in so much emotional distress, and the pain for her of being abandoned is so great that you think that she's attacking him, but after she just holds him and nuzzles in. Anyone's affection right now is good enough because she just can't be alone. And that hurt of having it be the person that she thought she had and that she trusted was the one that she believes has abandoned her makes it even more poignant a moment when she decides to take the bad guy's affection over no affection at all. And that is so common to us that we will take anything. We'll take a cloth, metal, warm monkey over nothing, even though that's not even real. And that's where we go to where we'll stay in an abusive relationship, or we'll go to alcohol, or we'll stay on social media, just anything to feel good enough so that we won't feel alone. We are innately made to be able to be in groups, and that kept us alive because as a group we were strong and powerful, and alone we had much less of a chance of survival. So what happens? What happens with a person that has been discarded by society, that everyone has hurt, betrayed, and abandoned? Suddenly, I get emotional, that suddenly has someone that is also vulnerable, is young, reach out to him. And it really seems like he sees parts of himself in Powder. That vulnerability, that being betrayed, that being abandoned, being left as discarded and no use to anyone. And it looks like sympathy, like genuine sympathy, possibly manipulation. Maybe he sees her as a tool.
I'll kill you if he hears you. Come on, let's go.
And what a horrible thing that she's dragged away when she tries to rescue her sister. She knows that now her sister is going to believe that she abandoned her, and abandoned her probably blaming herself because of trying to rescue them and everything going awry.
We will show them all.
And you see that look of anger. I'm gonna prove to you that you shouldn't have left me. I'm gonna prove to you and to myself that I'm gonna be good enough. I'm gonna be strong enough. I'm gonna be powerful enough, that you were wrong about me. And that fury in her eyes in the last scene.
Vi? I can't lose you.
So what's happened with Jinx is that she's seen someone that's triggered an anxiety response, someone that looks like Vi, so much so that she thinks that it might actually be Vi. She goes through a full anxiety response, and anxiety gives us this shot of epinephrine, what we call adrenaline, and it ends up having that fight or flight effect. But fight or flight is not just fight or flight, it's fight, flight, freeze, or faint. And for Jinx, you can tell she freezes.
I can't lose you.
Why did you leave me?
Because you're a Jinx!
And in a fraction of a second, her brain sends her with all of these different images. All of these situations flash inside of her head, which often happens to us. All of the hurt, the painful memories, and the good ones come flooding back to her as she's frozen in time in that moment, as she's confronted with the possibility that her hopes and dreams and fears are in front of her right now. And when she goes into fight mode, you can see she's not really there. You can actually see her eyes change from anger to that deer in headlights. And you can see the worry of she's not even in control of herself anymore. What happens is when we get that flood of adrenaline, our limbic system chemically shuts down our working memory. What that means is that we're kind of just going on autopilot. And you can see by her shots, she doesn't know where she's shooting. She's no longer in control. And if you can see the look on her face, there's so much worry as she's not in control. If you've ever been really anxious or really angry, it's us at our worst. Even when we're doing something that's right, we're not really there, and you just want to go up and hug her and let her know, dodge some of the bullets, and let her know that everything's gonna be okay. And that look of horror as her eyes come to of what has just happened, what have I just done? Even if you do all of the breathing techniques and the distraction techniques, it's really hard when you get that shot of adrenaline into your system to be able to cope with it. That's why it takes so much training. If you end up with a lot of anxiety attacks, it's really hard when you're going through them to be able to do anything else. If someone asks you to do math during that period of time, you're going to be like, I can't. I'm too busy trying to make sure that I'm not drowning. And you can hear her breathing. That's what happens, is that our heart starts pumping really fast, our breathing becomes short, and it takes time to be able to come down. Usually an anxiety or panic attack lasts for about 15 to 40 minutes. But the good news is it's not actually physically dangerous for you, but just really unpleasant.
What happened?
She already told you.
I'm asking you.
One of those firelight wackos was a girl.
Do you hear the difference in the tone of his voice now when he speaks with Jinx? It's soft and thoughtful. He's not even aggressive or reactionary when he deals with her. He asks her a question and waits and allows her to answer.
One of those firelight wackos was a girl with pink hair.
And that is really interesting because he shows such good parenting skills in this. He's calm and reserved. He knows that she's really upset. He knows that she's been through something. So many of us as parents would jump on our children when they've made a mistake that's actually caused us distress in the entire organization that they're a part of. But he doesn't. And that makes her feel safe and be able to share even though she's made a mistake.
Your sister's gone.
I know.
And then we see that beautiful head touch again that reminds me of when Powder and Vi were head touching, that show of genuine affection.
Today's screw-up will set us back weeks.
I'm sorry.
I need to know that I can rely on you.
All he says is, this was what happened. It's gonna set us back weeks. And she understands, and then they touch heads in this soft, warm moment between both of them. If he was using her for manipulation, he's definitely showing a lot of affection. It seems like this is not something that he's only using her for a tool. He actually cares.
I'm doing this for us, Jinx.
Won't happen again.
I know.
And I love when she says this won't happen again. His really soft, I know. It's confirming and soothing and calm instead of questioning her. And for Jinx, she's someone that's always made mistakes, that's always done the wrong thing. He is so soothing in the way that he handles her when she's fragile and upset and has made a mistake. He's that soft place for her to literally land. He not only accepts her flaws and her vulnerabilities, he encourages them. He allows her to be who she is and shows this unconditional acceptance. She is good enough. She isn't a mistake. She isn't someone to be thrown away. Here, she's cherished and given opportunities and jobs that show trust and show that someone believes in her. And even after she's made a mistake that's going to set them back weeks, he gives her the eye stabby thing to be able to take care of it. Wouldn't we all want that from our fathers? And it's so cool because he allows her to do something that is so vulnerable, to stab him in the eyeball. And it shows this great bond that he trusts her. Not only does he trust her to see him vulnerable, but he trusts her to be able to do this very difficult procedure to him and show that pain that he goes through. How many people would you allow to pierce in your eye if you didn't 100% trust them? They have a relationship that is beyond just work. But he still wants his nation of Zon. Plus, he really seems to want Jinx to give up the hope and want of her sister. That seems like he has an ulterior motive.
It wasn't. I know, just some wannabe street trash. I got confused, that's all.
Now, is this just negative self-talk, or is she actually hearing auditory hallucinations? It's not clear from this scene. It definitely is symbolic that Milo, the person that has teased and bullied her, carries a lot of these negative self-talk, whereas when you see the symbols of Clagor...
Now, he thinks I'm weak. Savika will clean it up. Savika's a regular Johnny on the spot.
The little Clagor stuffy, it's more positive or supportive, or she's gonna figure a way out of it. The voices that we carry inside of our heads, that negative self-talk, often happens to us from our childhood. Things that have happened to us, things that we've heard someone say. We take them and they become a part of who we are. You hear something enough times, even if it's a bold-faced lie, you will believe that it's true.
I'm not weak.
That's how marketing works. That's why advertising works. You have to be really careful. What are you advertising about who you are to yourself? Its effects have a great importance into your self-esteem and who you see yourself as a person. For Jinx, it's become who she is. It's even in her name. I like that in a lot of ways she's taken the word Jinx that was used as a negative and made it into something powerful and positive. But you can tell by going through these dialogues that there's still a lot of hurt and pain in the words that were once used against her.
It's all about these runes. Mathy, magic-y gateway. So, here goes.
So this is kind of really important. It's just like a micro moment, but I want to pay attention to it because here she is doing something that's a risk, has a risk of failure. And if you ever have as a strong fear, the fear of failure, that moment right before you do it, those negative self-talk come back to haunt us. And you can see for Jinx, that little flash of the stuffy of Milo that says something to her, and that huff of, oh my God, is this gonna work or is it not? That negative self-talk, when we talk about how much of an effect it has on us, it can stop us. Those thoughts of why even try, you're not good enough, what makes you think that you're going to become something, it can hold us back, and hold us back so much so that we don't continue to try. But I love that for Jinx, even though she has this really strong set of negative self-talk, she still does try. Unfortunately, it doesn't go well. The explosion is so similar to the event that ended up killing her family members that it brings back that post-traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress happens when we've gone through something that was so traumatic, and it doesn't leave us. It leaves us with trigger memories, difficulty sleeping, anger, reactivity, the inability to function, to feel good. That's what happened to Jinx in this moment. She ends up with this memory of the last time that her experiment went awry. How painful it is to have made a mistake, and it's constantly there with you. It's so hard to let go, and to deal with post-traumatic stress, it really is often the best thing to deal with a licensed therapist to be able to go through it, because it's so painful to go back to a scene that's caused you emotional damage. And remember, for your brain doesn't know the difference between emotional and physical hurt. To your brain, it is just as painful. And in a lot of cases, the emotional hurt hurts more.
No, it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
And you see the bunny that symbolizes Vi, another person that she ended up losing because of this. And her no, it was a mistake. This is not her talking about this experiment. She fully went back to the place of her when she was powder and this experiment happened. And she's going back to the fact of how sorry she is that she made this mistake. And the things that can trigger post-traumatic responses, they can be from anywhere. You don't really have control over them. It could be a smell, it could be the sight, it could be a sound, it could be a person, an area. We're very associative. It's our brain trying to make sure that it protects us from having it happen again. In being constantly reminded about that, it causes us emotional distress. Remember, 100,000-year-old brain, so it's a smart thing if we go back to that grassy area that we were bit by a rattlesnake to have that reminder of rattlesnakes are here. But for this kind of pain in a more modern society, it's very little benefit to us because lots of the events will never happen again. But to our antiquated brain that hasn't evolved in a really long time, will still keep on reminding us. And that's just really painful.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
For Jinx, she runs away from it. She still hasn't confronted this event that's happened so many years ago. And if you don't deal with it, it stays there. You really do need to take the time to go through it and settle it so that you can come to peace with it.
What's the matter, Milo? Worried Powder's gonna beat you again?
I think it's really significant for Jinx to then go back to a place of her childhood to be able to confront some of these voices. And here she is physically fighting all of those symbolic memories of Vi, the ones that are beautiful and loving and keep her going, but also the hurtful and painful ones. And we can often feel both really loving and caring about someone, yet still hurt and angry at them at the same time. This causes a lot of internal conflict with us. But I like the way that Jinx is actually dealing with it. One is that she's getting it out in a way that's healthy. She's trying to see if she can live up to her sister's shadow. And you can see all that emotional pain and angst in her as she's screaming and crying, which is very reminiscent to the way that she would deal with it when she was powder, those screams, those primal feelings. In this way, though, she's not destroying anything. She's trying to reach something, to try to reach and fill those shoes that her sister left off, to see if she, as an adult, can be as strong as Vi was. When we have someone that we idolize, that we look up to, even if we do surpass them, in our minds we often don't. We put people on pedestals that we can't actually reach. I love this scene, not just because she's wearing the awesome goggles, but because here we see it. We see her in her element. She is spinning around. There's magic. She's creating something. This is what makes her special. This is what she was made to do. And I think that this is Jinx truly reclaiming her identity. And I think that in this moment, she fully understood what Vi had said to her as a child. What you do that is different is what makes you special. And I think that she fully owns it. That spin, the braids going everywhere, like she's owning who she is as a person and truly coming into her own strengths. She's not walking the path that her sister left for her. She's making her own. You can feel that she's in the flow. Flow is when you're just vibing. You lose space and time. Everything just seems to be in order and nothing else around you matters. It's that wonderful feeling of being at the center of the universe and in sync with everything you do.
That's me!
So I love it. I love it, one, because it's just such a parental situation where your kid's not listening, done something wrong, playing the music. Here he has this possible sociopath, really, really angry, and her reaction is not even to bat an eye. She's not scared of him at all. And everyone else is terrified when he speaks, when he walks, he commands a presence. But their dynamic between the both of them, though he's showing genuine anger.
Half a dozen enforcers dead.
Yeah.
A building blown to pieces.
Oh, yeah.
She's calm and relaxed and lays her head down onto the table, showing, you know what, I know I messed up with this, but not a big deal. And I think that this shows this really established parental relationship between both of them, father and teenage daughter.
Any idea what you've done?
I do.
And that beautiful, genuine hug that she kind of, again, reminds me of when she was powder and Vander had just died. She kind of like launches herself into him and really, truly embraces him. And I love that one hand on her shoulder, showing that he cares about her, but he's still holding that prize, that peace that's going to get him the nation of Zon. And I think that that shows the juxtaposition of he wants the nation of Zon, but he also loves this person who shows genuine care and trust for him.
I can't do it.
You're the only one I can trust with this, Jinx.
I keep seeing them that day.
Fear haunts us all.
She comes at him with a problem that she has, and I think that for a lot of parents, when their children have an issue, we want to rush in and protect them and keep everything safe for them and keep them out of harm's way. I think that Silco has a different manner of parenting, though. He really empowers her. He gives her this belief in who she is as a person. He wants to make her strong. He wants to make sure that she will survive. Just like he had that struggle and he had to survive when Vander was pushing him under the water and he drowned, yet also found this strength within himself.
I almost drowned in these waters.
You told me 1,000,000 times.
Vander wasn't the man you thought he was.
He was like a brother to you and he turned his back and blah, blah, blah.
This is a really really interesting dynamics, because she's being a snarky teenager that's like, yeah, Dad, you keep on telling me the same story over and over again. I'm so done with this. He doesn't admonish her at all. Like, really, if I was giving him some parenting advice, I would say that it is important for him to put some sort of boundaries and consequences to her behavior. Because he's had such a rough upbringing, he wants her to be strong, but he also wants to give her the space to be who she is, even if that's sometimes snarky and rude.
And another was reborn. Betrayal feels like it'll eat you from the inside out. Can either break you or forge you into something greater. You need to let powder die.
And this is so beautiful, because the last scene she was talking about how she was scared. He's felt that fear. He's been that weak man that felt like everyone could just trounce over him, and he was done with that. He sees himself in Jinx, and he wants her to go through something similar to what he went through in order to have this rebirth, this baptism by fire, or really water. And you can see her look to him. She's no longer being snarky and sarcastic. She's listening to his words. These words matter, and because there's a whole ritual that is around it, we believe in rituals. Rituals, whether they be small or large, give meaning, give memory. They hold a place in our mind. So he could have just told her this story, but that wouldn't have had as much meaning. He's taken the time from running so many people in his organization to actually bring her here, because that's important enough to him. She's important enough to him.
You're strong now, just like you were always meant to be. Jinx is perfect.
I love it. I love it when he says those words. Jinx is perfect. And you see her brows furrow of how those words are so meaningful to her, how someone that has always believed that they're a mistake and they're a calamity and they're always going to do something wrong, to have that parental figure say, you know what, you're good enough for me. You're perfect in my eyes, even in your imperfection. It's so healing to when we've always thought of ourselves as different. And when someone that we look up to says something meaningful about us, it really sinks in. He holds her so gently. He cradles her down like when a baby gets taken to a baptism, and his hand goes really softly and lovingly over her cheek as she goes under the water. This is a really momentous occasion to him. This is where he became the man that he is, and he wants to impart that same lesson to his daughter. And you hear that little breath from Jinx as she, right before she submerges under the water, she's frightened. This scares her, but she trusts him enough also. Both of these people have been betrayed, abandoned, and discarded, but to each other, they have this extreme trust and love between them. We form our foundation of trust through our parents. And for both of these individuals, they did not have parents that stayed. They died or abandoned them or left them. And because of that, it cracks our foundation of trust. To rebuild it takes a lot of effort, because you're looking all the time for the next person that's going to stab you in the back.
I feel like you and I got off on the wrong arm. Maybe we should try the other.
Shots fired. You can tell that there is no love lost between Jinx and Savica. She really went in to try to hurt her where it would hurt most, aimed for her weaknesses.
It's your sister. She's back. She's looking for you. It's not what you think. She's with some girl enforcer. Guess she replaced you.
And you can see Savica. She knows exactly which buttons to press to be able to hurt Jinx. And she really touched upon a wound. You know that someone touches upon a wound with you when your anxiety or anger levels go from 0 to 100 in a heartbeat. And you can feel that response in your body immediately.
You're lying!
It's only a matter of time before you implode, and Silco finally gets the message that you're about as good for our cause as you were for your family, Jinx.
She's planting little tiny seeds of doubt of who Jinx is as a person, because the way that she said Jinx, it wasn't her name. That was an accusation that she is going to damage things just like she did in the past, that she hasn't grown or gotten better.
10 out of 10, Toots. I think I know just how to deliver that message.
So was she actually really hurt when you saw that pain in her eyes? Or was she just pretending to be hurt so that Savica felt like she got one over on her and then she was able to turn it around? I think that in this case, she actually felt physically hurt and bothered, and then caught herself that there is no way that out of anyone in the world that she would allow Savica to have the satisfaction of getting one over on her, and caught it. And the reason for that is her response. That is payback. That is, you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you first. You wanna humiliate me? I'm gonna humiliate you tenfold for it. And when you're very reactive, you often wanna hurt the people that hurt you. And for Jinx, she can't get to Milo. She can't get to the hurt she has towards her sister. And so Savica is this perfect placeholder where she can put all of her anger and angst. Plus, she does it towards Silco, the person that Savica wants to humiliate her in front of. Well, she's gonna do it first. Almost a mockery. So Silco will see who really is the one that's a detriment to the cause. This is one of my favorite moments because even though she has all of this fear of being abandoned, she still trusts her sister's words enough, one, to have kept the flare, and two, to actually risk being abandoned again. And I love that, like, she doesn't even hold it close to her or tight or hidden. She fully leans into it. This is her putting everything she has on the line. In this, it's more symbolic that Milo symbolizes her pain. You see him in that silent scream, crying out. And you see Claggor with his goggles off, looking up in hope, stoically hopeful that Vi is actually gonna show up. When we do something that risks who we are, that would hurt and makes us vulnerable, we often are carrying like a backpack all of those pains and negative voices that are with us. And I love the fact that she was still able to risk it and try, even if it might have failed. I love this scene. I love it because Jinx has kept this entire time because she believes that her sister will come. She has hope. This shows how strong a bond, even though she's left her when she was really young. She still holds on to that hope that this parental role model, the person that she looks up to more than anyone in the world, will come back for her. The entire time when I was watching the scene, I'm like, please let Vi see it. I will be so heartbroken if she does not. When something is told to us as a child, we really believe it as canon. We don't even question it. And she's held on to this belief all these years. Please make sure that if you say, I promise to do something, do it, because they're listening and their trust in you is paramount. So if you're not sure that you're going to be able to follow through, don't say that you're going to promise. But if you promise, make sure that you do it. And parents' relationship with their child is how their child builds that foundation of trusting the world and the people in it, or not trusting the world and those that are in it. And you can feel that anger. And anger at what? Like that anger at herself. That anger at herself for being silly enough to think that this could have worked. That childhood dream that her sister would come back for her after all of these years, why would she? That maybe all of those voices that she isn't good enough, that maybe they really are right. And how silly she was to think that it might be different.
Powder?
Vi?
Oh, Powder!
I love that hug. And you see Jinx drop the hex stone. Her sister is more important to her than this mission. This is what she's been waiting for. And I love that sweet, tight hug. And Jinx's face this entire time has been angry or worried or in distress. And you see this genuine softness come back over her when she's finally found her sister. And she did come back for her.
I'm so sorry, Powder. I tried to come back. I promise I did, but I got arrested. It doesn't matter. I never thought I'd see you again.
And Vi does a great job right away. She says all of the things that she needs to tell Jinx. She lets her know, hey, I'm sorry. I tried to come back for you. I didn't mean to abandon you. You are all that has mattered to me this entire time.
Things changed when you left. I changed.
I know. Pow, I know. You did what you had to do to survive. Me too.
For Jinx, she wants to let her sister know. We're always worried when there's been a long time that we haven't seen anyone that we're going to disappoint them, or if we've changed, they're not going to like who we've changed into. And for Jinx, she's worried that her sister is not only not going to like her, but possibly not like her so much and all of the things that she's done that maybe she will abandon her again. Vi does a lovely job of saying, we both have, and I understand, and you had to do what you had to do, and all that matters is that we're back together.
Are you real?
Yes.
I think it's such a heartfelt moment that she got to be reunited with Vi, because that helps that feeling of being abandoned and lets her know that her sister really did love her. But those words of, are you real? Often we'll say that when something is too good to be true, but for Jinx, you can hear that there's a reality in that she really is wondering, is Vi really there? I think that for Jinx, she's gone through so much trauma that she's having a difficulty in knowing what is fantasy and what is reality. And I think that this scene really shows the gravity of all of the traumas have had upon her psyche and the damage that they have done.
Who's she?
She's a friend.
Silco wasn't lying? You're with an enforcer?
And there we have it, those seeds that Silco planted, they're coming to fruition. We're so worried that the things that we fear most are going to actually happen, that we often will go to the worst case scenario first without giving someone the benefit of the doubt. We feel like it will hurt less if we go to the worst case scenario, that she was wrong, that Silco must have been right, that she didn't really care about her, that she really only wants the hex gemstone. All of these things come back like armor to protect us, because at least if we're already on the ground, there's nowhere lower that we can go.
This is a trick!
Powder, it's okay.
Stop calling me that!
And so Vi sees that Powder's getting really agitated, and she softens her voice and tries to make her calm down. She sees that she's in distress, and so she wants to let her know that everything's going to be okay, so the situation doesn't escalate into something really dangerous.
Shut up! I'm in no mood.
We didn't say anything.
I wasn't talking to you.
And there we have also that first sign that she probably really is hearing auditory hallucinations, possibly also having visual hallucinations, but we can't be sure from the way that it's represented here, because she says not, shh, I'm thinking, or I'm talking to myself, but she says I'm not talking to you, meaning she's talking to someone else, and she points the gun in a direction, so she's hearing it from an area. Now, what is she actually dealing with? That's really difficult, because in order to find out, you'd have to ask her specific questions. I would first want to know if these voices are inside her head or outside of them, though from this representation it does sound like it's outside. What can cause auditory hallucinations can be many things. It could be that she's starting out with the onset of schizophrenia, which would happen around this age. It could be that she's dealing with bipolar disorder or drug addiction, sleep deprivation, all the trauma that she's gone through, having a fever. These things can cause this. I'm not going to give her a diagnosis because it's unfair. I can't really talk to her, but I do think that she's hearing auditory hallucinations, and it's something that if she was my patient, I would want her to go to a specialist to have her be properly diagnosed and treated.
It's Jinx now. Powder fell down a well.
You're not a Jinx. God, I never should have.
Stop talking to me like I'm a child! Was that why you came? For this stupid stone?
And now she sees those words that she said in anger, how they have influenced her sister, so much so that she blames herself for her changing her identity.
You're a class act, sister.
Powder! I'm here for you. Only you. You can fire that thing if you want, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to abandon you again.
And I love it. I love that even when she's being threatened, this time she was really awesome and calm. She moved it out of the way and said, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you do. I'm not leaving you. And then she does that touch again, that really important moment where she's reaching out to connect with her sister. And right away when she touches her, you can see her sister soften again. That feeling soothes her. Vi soothes her. And I love it. I love it that they just had a fight. There was all this turmoil, but when push comes to shove and there's a danger, there they are, back to back, fighting together like a team. They trust each other. They're going to make sure that they're going to get through this together. I think that that happens a lot, that even if I'm teasing and bugging my little brother, someone else messes with them, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to take care of them. And that's what happens. And so I wish that we had more moments where I got to see Jinx and Vi fighting together because it was so very cool. Not therapeutic, but it was so cool. Vi gets a little bit of a look of how her little sister has grown up and grown up to be a deadly fighter. And I think that she's so brutal in her actions, it actually scares Vi a little bit.
Where have you been, Jinx?
Chasing down dead ends.
I can explain.
Don't move, silly.
So she's stabbed him in the cheek, and he doesn't even struggle against it. He doesn't even say you shouldn't do that. He right away goes to explaining. He knows that he's hurt her in an area that she's wounded. She feels betrayed by him. And so he goes right to the hurt that he has caused in it. He doesn't even say you're wrong. He fully accepts that he understands why she feels this way, and he right away wants to explain.
I wanted to protect you.
From what?
She and the Enforcer are back for the crystal, not for you. I am your family. Everyone else betrays us.
For Silco, he's speaking about how Vi betrayed her, but I think that he has an ulterior motive, and I don't even think it's to keep her on the team. I think it's that he's really worried that if Jinx and Vi meet up, he's going to lose her. He wants to make sure that Vi doesn't take his daughter away from him. This is the one person that he loves and cares for unconditionally. And Vi is a threat. And that's why he says to her that she's coming not for you. It's not true, and he wouldn't be able to even know that. But he's now projecting that fear of being abandoned again. He's been through that, and now he found someone that matters to him, that makes him feel loved and cared for. And for us in our psyche, that is gold. In our brain, to find someone that you truly love and you would do anything for is one of the most powerful emotions that we can ever express. More than power and fame and money. He has abandonment issues also. He doesn't want to be left alone. He knows what that feels like, and now it feels so good to have someone that he truly cares about.
Now more than ever, you have to complete the weapon.
It still shows that he also wants that power of control and to be able to have that nation of Zon, which he has wanted for his entire adult life.
I shouldn't have left you.
It's all right.
And when Vi says I shouldn't have left you, what she's really saying is not just to Caitlin, but she also left Powder. And so she's going through the guilt of leaving and abandoning Powder because she sometimes gets overloaded and needed a break. And she's not used to depending and leaning on people. It's easier for her to not have anyone to get too close to her, because then she might hurt them or she might lose them. And so I think that for Vi, it's also a little bit of a defensive strategy.
We played a game where we pretended to be bigger and bigger monsters. So she would say, I'm a slug monster with venom for ooze. And I would say, well, I'm a slug eating crab with razor spikes.
Liar.
And so now you can see all of those negative self-talks coming back from her. And it's kind of interesting because if she is dealing with auditory hallucinations, they're very specific depending on what culture you grow up in. In a lot of other cultures where people believe that their relatives speak to them or that these voices can be often helpful and positive. Yet in North American culture, often these voices are negative and detrimental and harsh on us. And for her, she's at least responding to them. Now, again, there are certain fields of thought that you should just ignore if you're dealing with auditory or visual hallucinations and pretend that they're not there. Whereas others, if you're dealing with negative self-talk, it's healthy and good to be able to talk back to it and let it know that it doesn't have power over you, that I'm not going to buy into your lies or negativity. You can see Jinx looking at Caitlin. She sees a skewed view of her, which is a stark juxtaposition of the way that Vi saw Caitlin when Jinx was lifting the platter. As many of you said, too many to name, but she saw this beautified version of who Caitlin was, and that's who she represents to Vi. In our mind, when we replay events, they're often skewed by our emotional feelings towards someone. Someone that you really care about will look more beautiful, just like Caitlin did. And for Jinx, she sees Caitlin as this demonic figure that is going to take Vi away from her. We see things filtered through the facets of our fears, filtered through who we expect someone else to be. Even if it's completely inaccurate, we'll actually see things that prove our own points to us as stronger. And the things that go against our own belief system will completely negate or even not hear that they happened. And that pushes us more strongly into the beliefs we already hold. Go! I think this is another one of those scenes that people are really frustrated with Vi. Why did she have to take Caitlin? Why couldn't Echo take Caitlin? They're the ones that had planned it. This leaves a lot of risk that Echo might get hurt, or so might her sister. She also has been waiting 5 years to see her. Shouldn't she be the one that stays with her and makes sure that she's safe and calm? Vi gets so flooded. She's just seen people die, and then the reason that she leaves is, one is that Echo gives her this order, just do it, and she's really reactive, and so she just does what she's told. But also, in times of stress, her words aren't there, and she knows that her sister is really angry at her, and so instead of dealing with it and confronting it, she walks away. Even if she had said to her sister, I just have to do something, I'm coming back, or explain to her what was happening, I think that that would have been better for their relationship, because for Jinx, this is her getting abandoned all over again. The first thing that I want to say is that when Echo comes into the scene, in this epic scene flying through, really shocking, is that even though Jinx was shooting directly at him, on his 2 swipes, he doesn't hit her directly. He knocks her gun out of her hand, and the second thing he does is he gets the bag that's carrying the hex stone. He's not directly trying to hurt her.
Oh, look who it is. The boy savior.
And when Jinx speaks, she's angry, but you can also hear how emotional and hurt she is. Not just by the betrayal she feels that her sister and Caitlin have by abandoning her again, also by her childhood friend that defended them and then attacked her. You can really feel her abandonment come through and the anger and fury of being left alone, literally having to battle her old friends. When we've formed attachments and we're close with someone as in childhood, there's a lot of emotional content when we see them again. Bonds you form in childhood are completely different than bonds that you form when you're an adult. Because when we're a child, we're vulnerable, we're trying to find our safety. And for Jinx and Echo, their safety was with each other. And in that little tiny look down, that you can tell it's sad. Echo is sad, yet resolved. Why do you have to make me do this? He doesn't want to have to face off with his childhood friend. And then in that little tiny chuckle, you can see that Echo has remembered something from the past, something that is going to make this a little bit better. And then Jinx mimics the exact same movement, that look down of like, can't believe that I'm gonna have to do this. This one has a history, and a history that is based in childhood memories. When we're going back to our childhood, the way that we used to play, we get to know our friends really, really well. And that's what makes both of them facing off with this so interesting and poignant at the same time. Though they're battling and one of them could be seriously injured or killed, they're both following the rules of this game that they used to play without even saying a word. It's a sign of respect and an homage to their childhood play. I think that for Echo, the reason that he's doing this is because he doesn't want to have to fight his friend, but if he can make it kind of sweet, something that calls back to the childhood. One is, maybe he'll be able to reach Jinx, and two, maybe this will make this very painful experience of having to face off with someone that meant the world to you be a little less painful. It also makes them think back to a happier time in their childhood where they could enjoy and laugh, be able to have each other even though the world was crumbling around them. And so here they are on this bridge, again, with the world crumbling around them and trying to grab some of those pieces of happy childhood memories together, even though this time it's bittersweet. Even things that we do in childhood that are play, we're already getting ready to mimic behaviors that we may have to do as well as we become older. That's why they train children really young to become child soldiers, because they mimic so effectively. They can become very hardened and not really think about what they're doing because they've been doing it for so long before they've actually created a sense of consequences for actions, which only finishes developing when you're 24 years old. We usually do the same behaviors, especially when we're stressed. When we're stressed, our thinking part of the brain kind of turns off, and we go back to what is muscle memory. So whatever we've done enough times, odds are we are going to keep on doing it. And when you know someone that well, when you've known them from childhood, you probably know what they're going to do even before they do, especially when they're very stressed or angry. And you can see all of the hurt and rage that comes out of us when we're in these horrible, stressful situations, having to do something that we don't want to. You can see that he's angry. He's angry at Jinx for putting him in this position where he feels like he has to fight her. And then you can see that Jinx's armor is all gone. No longer is it this strong, tough, woman that is here to fight and is battle hardened and ready. She's that child again, and she's in pain. She's let down her guard. She is defeated. And you might say, well, is this her faking it? One is, Jinx is not good at faking emotions. She wears everything that she feels on her sleeve. She shows her emotions. She's not great at playing it. Even when she tries to act tough, little bits of her feelings come through. And then you see for Echo, the realization of him fighting his friend, the friend that he can now see in her again, and the brutality of having to fight. We look at war and battles and we see it, and it's fun and it's cool and there's blood splatter, but the reality of that is heartbreaking, and you're hurting someone, and for him, he's hurting his childhood friend, and that softens him. If she's going down, she's gonna take everyone down with her, because she's now lost the one person that she still held hope in, which is Vi. And then to have her childhood friend also fight her and not be on her side, I think that for Jinx, that was just too much. The loss, Vi, and Echo. And sometimes for us, especially if we have strong abandonment issues, it is such an emotional turmoil, such a painful feeling that we don't want to feel it anymore. And I think that for Jinx, that's why, even though Echo was gonna stop, you could tell that he had softened and he had changed his idea of what he was gonna do. Acceptance of defeat, that being weak, that being vulnerable, that going back to the place of remembering her childhood that is gone and lost and she can't reclaim. It's easier for her to just say, I'm just going to scorch everything. And I think that we've all been in that place where things are just so bad, we're so upset that we're like, you know what, just get rid of all of it. Let's change things. She was missing out on that feeling of hope. And perhaps also she didn't want to feel helpless and defeated. She's done everything she can in her power to not be that little girl that always made mistakes, that was abandoned. And in that moment of losing this fight with her childhood friend was a little bit too much for her to handle.
Jinx!
If anyone questioned his intentions up till this point, the worry in his eyes, the rushing over, that he doesn't walk anymore in a predatory way when she's injured. He rushes over immediately. His eyes are wide with worry. These are all things that show that he really loves and worries about her in a very deep way. And it only disempowers him to show these emotions around all of the people that work for him. So it doesn't benefit him in any way. If it was manipulative, she's not even conscious, so she wouldn't know it. It's only a cost to him, and that's how we know when no one is looking or it comes at a cost. That's how we know that this matters more than what the people that work for him think of him. And he cradles her to him really closely and gently. That's what we do with things that are precious to us. She is precious to him. He picks her up and carries her himself. He has these really strong henchmen that could do this for him. She is too precious for anyone else to carry. Even though he may not be the strongest of people, he's not gonna leave her up to the hands of anyone else but himself. And isn't that what a good father would do for their child? He's ran her all the way over to the doctor to be able to take care of her himself, not having someone else to do it, even though that would have been much more efficient. This matters to him. He needs to make sure that she is going to be okay.
But the process will be demanding.
She can take it.
Are you prepared to lose her?
I love that. Are you prepared to lose her? Right away you see the abandonment, the anxiety in his eyes. No, he's not able to lose her. I think that in this moment, that realization of how deeply she means to him, how strongly he knows that he can't exist without her, comes to the forefront for him.
Jinx! She won't die. She can't.
And that beautiful statement of that she can't die, and he gives her this really tender kiss.
What have you done?
He thinks that he's actually lost her. The rage that he has inside of him, he wants to kill the man that did not keep her safe, that he held all of his hope inside of that. And if you've ever lost someone that you truly love, it's an undescribable pain. You can understand that rage of him wanting to take it out on someone, to blame someone that isn't him, because he probably feels that same amount of anger and guilt within himself. So Jinx is close to death, and she's just been shot filled with shimmer. And what happens when we're oxygen deprived? 15 to 20% of our blood capacity goes to our brain, and it's just there to keep it functioning.
I'm so sorry, Powder.
As it becomes oxygen deprived, our brain starts to fire, and it fires all of the different centers.
Your sister is Jinx.
Some people can see things and feel things, and so for Jinx, she's replaying all of her traumas and fears.
I understand this must be painful.
And one of these lasting memories, the sign of how much Vi really means to her, is that's who she sees.
You know, Powder, you're stronger than you think.
And the thing that she holds on to is that she's stronger than she thinks, which is something that she's always feared and always felt, that maybe she's more of a jinx than a benefit. Then she goes through that fear, her fear of being betrayed, as Vi holds out the gun to her, and then she hears Caitlyn's voice saying that your sister is actually Jinx, that perhaps Vi isn't happy with who she's become. And I think that that's a very common fear for all of us, is that when we meet someone and we haven't seen them in a while, we worry, am I a disappointment to them? Are they going to be happy with who I've become? Especially if we've changed a lot, because change is hard for people. We become adapted, we become habituated, and that's our comfort level. Especially for Vi, she doesn't even call her Jinx, she still calls her Powder. And that symbolism of Vi killing Powder, and then you see Caitlyn holding Vi's bunny. That symbol of Vi is in Caitlyn's arms, and that shows how strongly she fears being replaced by Caitlyn.
I understand this must be painful. I'm afraid it will only get worse.
When Caitlyn's talking about this is going to be painful, she's holding the needle, which may make some people think that this is about physical pain, but it's not. The pain that Jinx feels is the emotional pain of being abandoned, and in this case, completely replaced, rejected, not accepted, and to have to watch Vi with someone else she loves more than her. And for Jinx, that emblem of betrayal is really encapsulated with Caitlyn. Now, this often happens. We are angry at someone, a loved one, but we blame their partner. Why? It is so much easier to feel that this person has changed them, pulled them over, seduced them, brought them to the dark side, instead of us thinking that it was the person that we loved that did it. So often we will project our anger not towards the person that's actually hurting us, but to someone else that's close to them. They're the reason for it. And that allows us to still love the person that we don't want to lose or that we're upset with. And I think that that happens a lot in families, especially when new people come in, because whenever there's someone new that comes in, it changes the dynamic. There's a new cog in place, and that brings out our feelings of fear. And if anything else changes, well, we blame the last cog that was added to the system. She has physical pain. This is a very painful experience for her also. We already know for Jinx, the main thing that hurts her is the emotional. I think that for a lot of people, we would rather take physical pain than emotional pain. It's just so much more painful because it plays upon our innate feelings of our ego strength. Are we good enough? We have this need to be accepted by others, and it's so deep. And when you love someone, it makes it really hard because we fear then being rejected by those that we love, especially for Jinx, who does not find it easy to be vulnerable with people, yet she's still able to with Vi. And I think it's always that really cool effect of when you see the mirror starts to smoke up and then you suddenly see an image that you couldn't see before. I think that it's really symbolic that it's the little tiny monkey toy, the monkey that she brought to be able to defend Vander and Vi and all of her other family members. That is one of the first inceptions of what created Jinx in the first place. And then you see that flash of a pinky purple eye, calls back to that time where we first see Powder in Silco's arms. I think that this really helps us understand, why does she kidnap Caitlin? Jinx wants to get rid of the person that's coming in between her and Vi, because in her eyes, without Caitlin, everything would be okay. And Caitlin is that risk that she could lose Vi again. Remember, she is just recently under a massive amount of shimmer, a ton of it, which also changes you. When Singe says to Silco,
Are you prepared to lose her?
he didn't just mean, are you prepared to have her die? He's saying, are you prepared to have her become someone different?
You want peace, this is the price.
You'll discontinue the production of shimmer.
Half there already.
Return the gemstone.
You can tell that he knows that everything that he's wanted, this nation of Zon, is right within his grasp.
And I need Jinx. She has to pay for what she's done.
They weren't her crimes. She was working for me.
This is the first time you see him starting to fidget. He looks around. That wasn't something that he prepared himself for. That was not something on the bargaining table. And not only does this make him anxious, but this man that would do everything for the nation of Zon, he offers himself up. She didn't do it. It was me. He's protective of her and will protect her with his own life.
If I had it my way, it'd be you rotting in Stillwater. Get me Jinx, and I'll give you your nation of Zon.
Within one hand, he holds everything that he's ever wanted, and the only thing that he has to give up is the only person that he's ever loved, and that has ever loved him back. And you see him crestfallen as he stands there, no longer strong and predatory, defeated, even in his victory.
1,000 times I've imagined this moment. Never like this. All we ever wanted. And what do I lose but problems? Is there anything so undoing as a daughter?
And so it goes through that dilemma that he has. He gets everything that he's ever wanted, that he's fought his whole life for, that every single mission that they've gone on, all the people that have died for this nation of Zon to be able to be fully independent and respected. But then on the other side, that person, the only person he's ever truly unconditionally loved and who truly trusts and loves him back. The girl that he has raised into this strong teenager that he admires and really cares about. And I think that that beautiful statement he made of, is there anything as undoing as a daughter? I think that that really was statement of, it undoes all the things that he cares of. It's changed the things that really matter to him. And he has to go through that mourning of giving up something that he has hoped for and dreamed for. He's telling this to Vander because he's the only other person that would understand. One is Vander was also a father to Powder. Vander's words to Silco is that he himself has a change of heart. He's the only other person that would really understand what Silco is going through because he loves her. And often when we overhear parts of a conversation and we don't understand the full context, we interpret it through our fears. And one is, this is a huge fear for Jinx. Two, she's just gone through a massively traumatic experience and she has all of this shimmer flowing through her. And because of that, she's misinterpreting what's happening. And when information is nebulous, what we do is we fill in the blanks, but we do it from a state of wanting to protect ourselves because it's so devastating to be able to be hurt. So we go to the worst case scenarios, and often that makes us assume the worst and often assume it wrong. You see in Jinx's eyes that anger, and then the last emotion is that pain, that hurt. Oh my goodness. She's just been betrayed in her mind by Vi, and she had this fight with Echo. She's lost everyone, and now she's also lost Silco. Everything that Jinx has been doing has been to prove to everyone, and really it's to herself, that she's not a Jinx, that she can do it right, that she can make people proud. But for Jinx, when we're hurt and we've been so damaged, we look at everything through those facets of our wounds. So we sometimes will see things that aren't even there. Those words to her mean that he's gonna betray her. He's gonna pick the mission that is so important, that's what they've all been working at. And I don't even think that she yet sees herself as someone that would even be important enough, that someone would give up all of their hopes and dreams and everything that they have been working towards for her. Because she's always been the one that was not good enough and left. And when we've been hurt in childhood really deeply, it causes that fracture within ourselves, and it's hard to see ourselves as anything else.
Really thought I buried this place. I should have known better. Nothing ever stays dead.
What I believe that she's saying is that all of her fears, all that negative self-talk, she's tried to bury it. She's tried to move away from her past, but it keeps on coming back to haunt her. And so she brings everyone back to the inception of where she started, where Powder became Jinx, that transition between this location to the next one.
Wanna know a secret? Silco thinks he made Jinx. Be what they fear, Jinx. But he didn't make Jinx. You did.
And you hear the bitterness in her voice. This is another person that's betrayed her, and she's angry at him because she trusted him and he crushed her. She believes that he would trade her in.
I never meant to leave you.
You never left. I always heard you. Your voice pushing me, picking me up. You're the reason I'm still alive.
Even though she hurt her and created Jinx, this fracture, this change in who she was as a person, Vi is also that positive voice when she was dying and had to go back from the darkness.
You know, Powder, you're stronger than you think.
It was Vi's words that she heard. Even though she's upset at her sister and she's not sure if she can trust her because she left her before, she still loves her and she wants to be able to trust her still. And that's why, out of everyone at the table, it's Vi who isn't gagged, because she wants to hear what she has to say. It's hard when we hear that we've made a mistake that has forever altered someone else. But I think that it's really beautiful what Jinx says. She's really telling her that you were a positive voice. You were the voice in the darkness that told me to get back up, to fight, to be stronger. She had a lasting impact, and though, yes, it created Jinx, it also kept her strong and kept her alive when nothing else did. It's like this bittersweet, beautiful moment between the both of them.
I spent so many nights in that prison on that freezing floor, hungry, bloody, counting the hours. The only thing that kept me going was the thought of getting back to you.
And that's also really important. Vi let her sister know that you also were what kept me going. I never meant to abandon you. All I thought about was you. I think that especially when we haven't seen someone for a long time, those doubts kind of come back to us. And so it's really healing for us to know that it wasn't true. We really were cared about and cherished. Unfortunately, there was so much time that she was alone that those negative voices were stronger than the voices of hope.
Are we still sisters?
Nothing is ever going to change that.
That's what happened when she had these near-death visions, when her cortex was firing. Are we sisters, or are you gonna get rid of me? Am I still okay for you? Vi's answer is really beautiful, that nothing's ever gonna change that. I wish she said more like, I'm here for you. You don't have to worry. I'm never gonna leave you.
I always knew you'd come back.
What's going on?
And I believe that Jinx did believe that she would come back. Where that beautiful scene where she lights that flare, she's held on to it for all this time, and she stood there so stoically yet in pain, hoping for her sister to return to her. But in order to hold on to that, especially for Jinx, that shows so much trust that she still has after all of those years in Vi. That's like the coolest scene, like that she like flicks the lighter and lights everything up, and then we get to see this really creepy tea party table. I really love it. Again, not psychological, but it was really cool.
He took everything from us. Right here, he stabbed Vander in the back. Just like he planned to with me. All the time saying you abandoned me when he knew the truth. Liar.
Because she overheard those words that Silco said. Now she doesn't believe him. She's gonna make him pay the price for it. And she wants Vi in her side. This is her offering to Vi to get her back. She set this up, which is kind of scary for Vi. She has the Claggor doll, she has the Milo doll, and she has the symbol of her love, the little tiny bunny sitting at the table. And yes, of course, Vander's pipe and his metal gauntlet gloves.
I paid your girlfriend a visit this morning.
What did you do?
I'm not that crazy.
I did worry also that Jinx had Caitlyn's head on this platter because she was so angry and upset about it. And she set this entire scene up to increase the anxiety and stress level of everyone that was at the table. Jinx is still upset at Vi. That's why she plays with her. That's why she sets this up so that Vi will think that it's Caitlyn's head in this platter. She wants her to feel uneasy. She wants her to know, don't cross me. She's so worried that if she doesn't, Vi may not choose her. And so she'll take it, if not by will, she'll take it by threat. We have to mention that she's really clouded from the effect of the shimmer on her. It's played upon her worst paranoias. It's played upon all of her delusions and fears. And because of that, it's made her much less stable. A lot of different drugs do cloud our mind. They can numb certain parts of them. They can make us skittish, paranoid with intrusive thoughts, cause us to have auditory hallucinations or visual ones. It can make us into a more agitated or aggressive person. Even regular things such as chocolate and coffee and sugar does have psychological and physical and emotional changes and effects on us. I think that we need to be really cognizant of how do these things affect you.
Where should I sit? That's your choice, really. Make her go away. You can have powder back.
She offers Vi this choice of who do you want me to be? I'll be whoever you make me. It's an unfair question because Jinx can't go back to being powder even if she wanted to. She's changed and become someone new. Now, she could evolve and change into something else with time and work, but that's a lot of effort. Our brains are kind of hard set. They want to stay wherever we happen to be, even if it's a place that we don't want to be. That makes us feel comfortable. She's offering this because she doesn't care. She just wants Vi back, and it doesn't matter the price. It's a little bit of a test. Does Vi actually accept her for who she is now? Because again, she keeps on still calling her powder, but powder's gone.
I can't.
Ultimatum that no one would be able to choose. She's testing how much do you really love me? Pick between us. For Jinx, she sees Caitlyn as this rivalry. This is the person, one, she's an enforcer, so she worries that she could harm her, but also she's the person that Vi left her for on the bridge, so she sees her as the person that she might get abandoned for again. And then she makes this offer. I'll give you Powder back. She can't. She's changed and become someone else, but she's willing to say that. She wants so much for her sister to prove that she picks her. It's common with people with an insecure attachment or fear of being abandoned, because it's just, you're so worried that you constantly need that affirmation. And the affirmation works for a period of time, a little bit of time that you feel comfortable and safe. But then it becomes ephemeral. It disappears on you and you have to have another proof so that you can feel stable. It doesn't actually work. It's like trying to fill water into a cup with a big hole in it. It goes away and you need the new test to be able to prove it. Instead, what we would want to do is we would want to practice being safely attached, and we actually do it not to other people around us, but you practice being attached and comfortable with yourself. And then you have that secure attachment with you. You're not alone because you have yourself. And I know it sounds really, really therapy-ish. You have you, you're not alone. And then everyone else is extra and you can enjoy them. But it's not like a tree that if it's gone, you'll collapse.
Powder, listen, we'll leave and never come back.
Where would we go?
That's what she wants. She wants Vi, and she not just wants her, she wants her all to herself. Because she's been so hurt, so traumatized, because so many people she's lost, she's holding on to her in such a tight way that she doesn't even want the risk of anyone else around, because they also are a threat to maybe take Vi away in time. Inside of Jinx, I don't think that she really understands how important she is, how wonderful she really is. She's constantly trying to prove to others that she's good enough, but in the end, what she really needs to do is know inside of herself that she's good enough just as she is.
No, she's not saying that.
It's true.
Vi's only saying this because of duress and her negative self-talk. You can hear that her voice inside of her head is saying she's just lying. Vi is offering probably more than she's able to actually give. So that fear plays up. And that's what often happens when we're doing something that we're worried or we're scared about, is that we end up with all of these negative voices that puts doubt into us.
We'll put this behind us. You'll never have to see him again, Powder.
Her name is Jinx. She's lying. You'll be with her a day before she realizes you aren't that girl anymore and turns her back on you.
And those are her fears, that Vi might leave her again. You can see the pain in her eyes as she's pondering, what should she believe? These are her two most important people in her life right now, and they're pretty much pitted one against the other, but both of them really love her.
You aren't lying. Not again.
I'm not lying.
Shut up! We're talking!
She gets rid of the negative voice. She shoots Milo when Milo laughs and mocks that Vi's telling the truth. She wants to believe her.
The Topsiders offered me everything. They can all burn. You're my daughter. I'll never forsake you.
The words that Jinx has always wanted to hear. Even if given everything that I've ever wanted, he'll still choose her. You can feel that healing, that pain dissolve. I really wonder if what didn't unfold, if we had some moments, what would have happened between everyone, because you can definitely tell that she believes him, and I believe him. He was really authentic and genuine in what he felt. He loves her more than his cause. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about Arcane, is that it's over and over again that people choose the people that they love over all of their different beliefs and wants. And here he is, he's fighting for her. He wants her not to leave him. When he says her name is Jinx, he doesn't want her to remember the past where she wasn't with him. He wants her at that point of rebirth when he feels that he was truly hers. And we don't want to be left again.
Everyone betrays us, Jinx. Vander. Her.
It's interesting when Silco speaks, he says the word Vander, the person that he ended up killing and tried to kill him, but the person he says the word with the most venom is Vi, the person that could take his daughter away from him. I don't think it's because his life is at risk. I really believe that death is better for him than that feeling of loss to the person that means the world to him. And you see how Jinx listens to her sister? She really does care about what Vi thinks about her and doesn't want to hurt her. And because of that, chooses not to kill Caitlyn now twice, even though she could. In Jinx's mind, it's Caitlyn that's between her and Vi. But she can't do it. She can't kill Caitlyn. She knows then that she would lose Vi also in the process. And I think that we have to really appreciate how brilliant of a tactician Jinx is. That little tiny hands up and don't worry, I'm no threat. She wants Caitlyn to underestimate her. Jinx is battle hardened. She knows how to fight. This is an area that she is confident in, and so is able to take on Caitlyn even though Caitlyn has a weapon and she's chosen to put her weapon down. She can tell that Caitlyn is not as battle hardened as she is. And Caitlyn is really good with a gun, but there's a big difference in shooting in a range when you're not under stress versus shooting in an actual battle. That increases your levels of adrenaline. And when you have mastered a skill, when you have an adrenaline rush, you're actually going to be better. You have all this muscle memory, so you don't need to think. Versus if this is a new situation, that stress, you still have to think about it because you're still an amateur, a beginner at a skill. And so because of that, it takes a lot of cognitive load. Then that adrenaline overloads the system and it knocks out your working memory. So the area that makes you have to think, by the time that she's thought she's moved towards me, it's too late. Jinx is already on her. And so adrenaline acts really different between people that have mastered a skill and people that are just new at it, making the master faster, better, more sure, and more accurate because they don't need to think. They've mastered it. It's all muscle memory, neurons that fire together, wire together. She can do it without thought.
You see, now finish it.
Damn it, Powder! Wake up!
When you go into fight or flight, you end up with this rush of adrenaline. So now we have Jinx, who already has all of this overload of shimmer inside of her. You can see how pink and purple her eyes are. Then we add all of this adrenaline, epinephrine, into her system. It's overloaded it. You can tell when someone's in an anxiety response, a fight or flight response, because the whites of their eyes, nothing's going in. They've kind of zoned out. And both Silco and Vi can recognize that she's not there really. And they're both worried.
Picture Milo! Clagger! Stop! Vander!
Saga! Don't listen to her!
Yes!
And in this scene, Vi's trying to wake her up by telling her things and people that she's loved. She doesn't know that for Jinx, these are the demons that haunt her. These are the people that she's killed, that because of her are no longer with her. So these are traumatic experiences. And for her, Milo especially is a negative voice. He's the one that's always bringing her down and saying that she's not good enough and things are going to end poorly because of her. And so unfortunately, Vi trying to bring her back is actually pushing her further away. And it reminds me of that time that Vi was talking about the larger and larger monsters that would fight each other until until Powder felt like she couldn't handle it anymore.
Stop! Vander!
She's traumatizing her. She's asking Vi to stop. But for Vi, she doesn't understand that she's asking her to stop because she's becoming more and more overloaded. She's going into a full-blown panic. And Silco, I think, can tell exactly that this isn't going to work. One is he doesn't want to lose her, but I also do believe, you guys were right, that he is worried about the psychological damage that Vi may be unwittingly giving to her. It really does show how much Silco trusts and loves Jinx because he could have gotten out of his ties at any point in time. Him seeing his daughter in pain is what gave him that adrenaline reaction to be able to grab the gun and to try to get rid of the person that's hurting Jinx, which is Vi. It's so understandable. This is the thing that he loves, and aren't we going to do everything we can to protect them and keep them with us? But it's a selfish, hurt love, because our children, we raise them in order to be let free. But because he's gone through such abandonment, he's not able to do that. And so sometimes he is manipulative or says the wrong thing or does the wrong thing. You see her curled up, trying to hide her head, trying to stop the pain, the sound, the voices that are coming in and tormenting her and traumatizing her as they're just eating at her. And I think that a lot of times when we're feeling really hurt or we're going through a traumatic flashback, that's what we feel. We go back to being that child that's helpless and all alone. And it's a really painful, difficult space to be in. Silco goes to shoot at Vi. She also goes to protect her. She is gonna stop this. And she's on autopilot. So as she did before with the battle on the boat with Echo and Savika being tied up, where she just wildly shoots all the way around. I don't even think that she was aiming just for Silco. It seems like she just did a full 360 of bullets, and she just wanted the pain to stop. And lots of times when we're in that painful situation and we're just hurting, we lash out and we kind of just will do anything so that it ends because it causes us so much distress. We're not thinking, and then we have this shimmer that makes her already feeling more paranoid. She definitely still has a preference of Vi over Silco, even though I think that he did his best to be able to show her love and care. Vi is still that main attachment for Jinx, and that's shown by her holding out the flare, going to find her, and also during her flashbacks, it's Vi who is the painful person that she didn't want to lose. No, I'm sorry. And when she realizes that that she's shot him and possibly killed him, it reminds me of when she was Powder and she realized that the other people in her family have died. And for Jinx, that she's again been too much. It's just so heartbreaking for her to have to go through this again.
I never would have given you to them. Not for anything. Don't cry. You're perfect.
And I love those words that he says again, like that, not even to cry. He doesn't even say that, you shouldn't have done that. You shot me. You should have been more in control. He doesn't want her to feel bad. That last little thing of, instead of how Vi handled it and said, you're a Jinx and you're horrible. It's so beautiful that, he says, you're perfect. She's done this horrible thing, and yet he can still make her feel okay from it. For Jinx, again, she's done something when she was really just trying to protect and in pain and didn't mean to, that's caused the death of another one of her father figures. And that pain and hardship, that feeling that no matter what she does, the worst case is going to happen. It's just so painful because here she is with both people that she loves telling her that they love her too. And it just ends so poorly for her because of all of her childhood fears. This is now that fulfilling of a prophecy. This proves to her that, you know what, this is her lot. Silco right away, he didn't care. He just wanted to let her know that you're perfect, that you're okay, and for her not to cry. And I think that that's just so beautiful that in his last moments, that's what he thought about. He thought about making sure that she was going to be okay, and he didn't want her to carry the guilt of this act.
Powder? We'll be okay.
Vi doesn't say Jinx. She still calls her Powder, and it showed Jinx that she didn't fully accept her as who she was. And you hear her doing her breathing as her breathing starts to slow down in the realization of what's happened, but also of who that makes her. How does she now identify with who she is as a person? And I think that sometimes when we do actions, we think that our actions now make us who we are. And she's chosen that who she is Jinx, that she is beyond redemption, just like everyone has said, Echo and Caitlin.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to, even though I'm different.
When Jinx stated that I had hoped that you could love me for who I am now, you can see that Vi again. She's breathing heavy. She's flooded. She doesn't know what to say. She's good with fighting her way out of it. She's good with action. She's not great with using her words. And so because of that, she leaves this moment where she allows her sister to believe that she wasn't truly loved, which I fully do not believe that Vi meant to do. But again, was in a very stressful situation and almost shot, and her sister was so upset, and Caitlin is on the floor, and she was just so flooded that she didn't have the words to say anything. It leaves her sister to walk off, feeling again that she was abandoned. Now she believes because of these acts that her sister wouldn't be able to love her anymore. Not the way that she used to love her, because she feels like she's a bad seed.
But you changed too. Here's to the new us.
I am the monster you created.
Now she's chosen her side. It's gonna be her versus Vi instead of with her. I believe that she's decided that she's beyond redemption, that she's just gonna go it alone. And she's going to complete the mission that she started in Silco's honor. She's gonna just scorch everything.
We will show them all.
And I think that it's really symbolic that this is the weapon that she made for Silco, and it's in the shape of those fish that Silco loved so much, that she's going to make everyone pay because he can't. Jinx found her own ways out of her problems, but things may have ended differently if she had checked out today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is the online interactive STEM learning platform with college-level courses on neural networks, computer science, math, physics, quantum mechanics, game theory, and a lot more. And they're all taught in a visual, hands-on way. Now, I wanted to try something different this time, and I was thinking what would help out a lot of people during exam time, and one of the big subjects that people have a really hard time dealing with is math. So I started out with pre-algebra, and it was wonderful because it was really taught in every single piece that makes pre-algebra. So it went through what are those parentheses and why do they use them, and then you get to try it out and see if you actually understand. Plus, what I love about Brilliant is that it asks you the questions. Do I actually understand, or did I just cheat and take a look at the answer and that's why I know it? And so you can learn at your own pace. So I'm really enjoying pre-algebra, and if you're having problem with math or anything in that STEM area, please check out Brilliant. And Brilliant has thousands of lessons like these with new exciting content being added every month, so you never have to stop learning. All you have to do to get started for free is visit brilliant.org/GeorgiaDow or click on the link in the description, and the first 200 people will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. So just click on the button on the screen or head on over to brilliant.org/GeorgiaDow. Clicking on that button really does help out this channel, so does clicking on the playlist above for more videos on psychology of your favorite shows. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So that is it. We've done it. Did I miss some of your favorite scenes? And let me know, do you have a different interpretation of why she decided to just scorch everything and get rid of all of the council members? Please hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.